Hey guys, it's Kay Journey, and I am back today to discuss some of my goals for the rest of 2025 and Q1 of 2026. Actually, kind of for the all of 2026 as well. So first off, I want to apologize for the blue nails. I painted them blue and then it chipped off, and the ones where they're not still blue is where it chipped off from. So the rest I cleaned off anyway. It is what it is. I'm not going to worry about it. So today what I wanted to talk about was kind of taking a look back at 2025 and the things that worked really well and the things that didn't work so well, and kind of having a conversation with ourselves about, what we could do differently in the next year to do better. And I know there's lots of videos of this type going around right now, and I'm just kind of adding to the conversation and talking about myself a little bit. So for me, I know that 2025 started off really slow and hard. I had a lot of mental health struggles in the beginning of the year for I want to say the first 5 months. I really struggled to get anything done. I was in a rut. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. And then late spring and summertime hit, and I started just kind of feeling really alive, and I started getting a lot done. And I switched projects, and I was feeling really good. And then in August, I got COVID, and I managed to finish the first book in the book club book series and launch it and get started on the second, and then restarted the second. And in the process of all of that, my mental health took a nosedive again, due to a lot of different circumstances, and I continued being sick. I got a couple of sinus infections, an ear infection, pneumonia. After this is post COVID, and more colds than I can count. I have not had a solid week where I haven't been sick since August. And it's starting to get better. This last week, my kiddo is sick, but I only got slightly sick, not even really anything that I would call home about. So I think I'm kind of starting to pull out of this era of just being constantly ill. And a big part of it is that I've been allowing myself to rest. So instead of doing NaNoWriMo this year, or the Rough Draft Challenge, I told myself I was going to start, and then I just didn't. And I let myself take time off, and I let myself rest, and I let my body recover from the stress and the emotional dysregulation and the illnesses and just get better. And I learned a couple of things along the way. So number one, I need to make sure that I am starting to prioritize my physical health. And number two, I need to make sure that I am leaving room in my day-to-day and week-to-week life to work through my emotions and to de-stress. I am not somebody who is able to sit down and watch a movie and have my nervous system calm down. In fact, that stresses me out. So I need to find creative ways of stress relief that aren't tied to making money. So anyway, I got a notebook here. I'm going to make a list. It's going to be great. So biggest wins of last year were that I learned that I am wins. I learned how to make room for myself. I let myself be, and I have a really big history, a lifelong history of it looking like I'm doing this when I'm really not. I'm bullying myself, and I'm stuck in indecision, and I'm stuck in the inability to move forward. And that was really the beginning of this year. I was bullying myself really hard, which I think is why it was so hard to move forward and get out of that phase. But once this August hit and I got really sick, and then everything started to fall apart, and then the last couple of months, realizing that I needed to take some downtime and de-stress, I learned this huge, crazy lesson, and I hope I don't have to relearn it again, but I probably will, to make room for me in my life. I've got 4 kids. I've got this channel. I've got my writing. I've got, I'm busy, and it always feels like there's no room in my life for me. And if I make room in my life for me, I'm failing. Well, I fail a lot harder when I don't make room for me. So, that was probably my biggest win. Also, published book club book number 1. I also wrote 2 other books, almost completely finished, and didn't publish them, and it's fine. So, lessons. I need to be taking care of my physical health. So, I think the reason that COVID hit me so hard and that all of these colds and things kept happening back to back is not just, I mean, I have a kid in kindergarten, so obviously I'm going to be getting sick a lot. But the reason that it knocked me so far down and made me so ill was because I do not prioritize my physical health. I am obese. I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is. I like that about me? Not necessarily. Do I think it's healthy? No. But I've accepted it. And as far as I've accepted how I've gotten here, and every time that I try to change and make these massive changes, something gets in the way and I get knocked off course. In August, once again, along with my writing goals, I was starting to do walks. I was starting to lose weight. I was eating healthier. I was really doing the work, like regular day-to-day work of getting my health back in order. And then as soon as I got sick, it just fell by the wayside. So I need to create sustainable, minimal habits around health that will work even when I'm ill so that I can continue kind of an upward trajectory with getting my health back in order. So I say a minimum habit for health, but it's actually probably a series of minimum habits that I need to be implementing. Um, I also need a minimum word count daily goal. Now, why I'm adding this right here is that I've been struggling with getting back to writing pretty hard over the last couple of weeks. I've been telling myself, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm working on projects that I'm really happy with. But I've been struggling with sitting down and actually writing more than like 1,000 words at a time. So I told myself last night, all I have to get is 1,000 words. I just have to sit down, put on some music, put on my headphones, let my kiddo watch some TV, and just write and get to 1,000 words. And I ended up getting to almost 1,500 words in under an hour because I just did the work. I just sat down and did it. I didn't give myself room to be wishy-washy or to stop and think about it. I already had my plot. I already had my plan. So I think that having a minimum 1,000 words a day word count will really work because it leaves enough room in my day for, you know, plotting or editing or all the other work on other projects. But it also gives me that consistent habit of building towards what I want. So I think that's going to be very definitely a thing that I implement this year. I also want to make sure that I am creating a minimum habit for de-stressing. So for me, this is going to be experimental because I don't really know, which is weird. I'm 40 years old and I don't even know how I de-stress anymore. Like I really, really don't. Scrolling doesn't really help with de-stressing, even though it gives me the dopamine rush that tells me I'm happier. I'm really not. Overeating does help manage my stress levels, but that works against me with my health habits. In fact, that's part of the reason why I am as big as I am is emotional eating. And I know that about myself. Um, so I'm not exactly sure what de-stressing looks like for me. And I need to absolutely 100% um, look this up. Okay, so what I know, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to brainstorm around this. So if I want a minimum health, what does this look like? So daily movement. So for me, this looks different than it would look for some people. For some people, doing 45 minutes of strenuous exercise a day is a really good bare minimum. For me, when I am sick, I'm not going to do this. In fact, the very idea of doing 45 minutes when I'm sick every day makes me kind of want to cry. However, I know that my minimum when I am sick, if I tell myself I'll do 5 minutes, that'll get me started, and then I'll usually get more like 15 or keep going. And the trick here is to just get me past that initial get started, right? So I'm thinking my daily movement, no matter what, needs to be 5 minutes. And it could be dancing, It could be, I have a machine underneath my feet right now. It's a cycle machine. It could be going for a walk. It could be strength training. I love strength training. I've literally loved strength training since high school, and I never do it, and I miss it so much. So I think I'm going to add in more strength training because I know that that is something that I enjoy and that leads towards my goals a lot better. Because I don't want to be like super skinny. I want to be super strong. I want my strength back. I used to do construction. I know I talked about it before. I used to do construction. I used to be ridiculously strong, and I miss feeling confident in my body like that. So, strength training. I could do yoga. The problem with having too many options here, though, is that I know that I'm likely to not do it if I am presented with an option that I'm just not willing to do. So, I'm going to say my goal is 5 minutes minimum, and whatever I feel like doing that day is the thing that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to track it and look for trends and see where I can kind of shift things. So, a minimum of 5 minutes. Now, I know that one of the biggest things also for me is emotional eating. So, um, healthy snacks is a huge one for me. Having healthy snacks for when I'm bored, because I know I'm going to eat when I'm bored. That's just I'm accepting me for the person that I am and trying to add in healthier habits rather than try to bully myself into being somebody else. So maybe dehydrated. I can spell fruits and veggies. I have a dehydrator. I really enjoy preserving food. That's one of my hobbies. So this feeds into other things. So dehydrated fruits and veggies. I know I tend to overeat on nuts. It's a problem for me. So I kind of I really really, especially walnuts. I love walnuts. It's like it's a sickness. um, More water. So over the summer, I was drinking almost a gallon of water a day on average. I was doing so good. And now I've dropped down to like, I want to say below 32 ounces a day again. And I can feel it. I can feel how much my body resents me for not taking care of it. So I want to get back into a water habit. So I'm thinking that maybe once a week, like weekend, I do like a big dehydrate fruit and veggies fest, and then I create snacks for myself. And then I create a daily habit of like a water intake habit. So there's 3 new habits right there that are really super simple and easy. More water is actually ridiculously easy, especially if I'm tracking it. And that's another thing that I'm going to be adding to what I'm doing because I have been lacking on my trackers. I used to do gamified like points for productivity. I would give myself points for my water intake. I would give myself points for exercise. And I have not been doing any of my point system, any of my gamified anything. When things fell apart in August, I literally fell to pieces. And, I need to get back into that. So, okay. And then what was the next part? Minimum word count, daily goal. I don't really think I need to explain that some more, but in case I do, so I'll do it over here. So minimum word count. Okay, so if I give myself a 500 word count minimum, I know that I'm like, that's not interesting enough. That's not a stretch for me. I'm going to be like, oh, I can just do that tomorrow. But if I give myself a minimum of 1,000 words a day, it's not overwhelming. It's not too much. It's something that I can get done in an hour, hour and a half if I'm having a hard time. Um, and I know that I can do that daily. I can carve out that time daily no matter what's going on. But what would facilitate this is learning how to dictate. Last year, at the beginning of the year, I was doing a lot of words via dictating. And then I fell off track, and now I'm trying to dictate again, and I'm terrible at it. So I'm going to have to relearn how to dictate. Um, but that's so one of the things that's been going on is that I have bigger kids. I have lots of kids. And I'm doing a lot of driving, especially for my second youngest. They have a lot of after school activities. So I'm in the car a lot, and I'm in the car alone a lot, like driving two pickup kids anyway, it's a whole thing. So I just bought a phone mount for my car, and I plan on dictating while driving. Don't come for me if you think that's distracted driving, because for me, it's not. The more distracted driving for me would be like sitting there in my head. I've actually like lost time while driving because I'm so in my head thinking about characters and thinking about plots and not being able to write it down or, well, dictate it. So that's something that I want to be doing, is dictating, especially for the times where I'm not even driving and I'm sitting in the car alone, and instead of being productive or feeling good about what I'm doing, I am scrolling on my phone. Um, so, and then we'll do 1,000 a day. So those are my two new habits for that. And then for de-stress, um, my main goal for this is to experiment. Just, yeah, experiment with different things that de-stress me. So I'm going to have to like do some research, but also I want to cut my phone habit. I really, really, really want to start cutting down the amount of time that I spend on my phone. So I go to bed at night. I have a really hard time with rumination. It's part of my complex PTSD. I've had insomnia since I was a little kid. I remember being like 5, 6 years old and having trouble sleeping and having insomnia. And part of it was due to I have a really vivid nightmares. So I do this thing where if I wake up in the middle of the night and I think for even longer than 10 minutes, I get on my phone because I will get caught in a destructive loop in my brain. Um, and I will start like the cyclical thought process of this negative thing, this negative thing, this negative thing, this negative thing. And before I know it, I've spent 2 hours making myself cry, hurting my own feelings for no reason about things that likely aren't even going to happen, or like happen differently or whatnot. Like there's no reason for it and it's not helpful. So I pick up my phone and I need to come up with better solutions for that. On top of that, I wake up in the morning and I pick up my phone. So I'm thinking that I want to start working on, I'm going to start with AM and then start adding in PM phone, like getting off my phone in the PM. But I need to do more research on how to break through those cyclical thoughts and rumination and whatnot. So, looking at all this, it's actually a lot altogether. Like, and changing everything all at once, we know based on science, doesn't really work all that well for everybody. So, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in phases. So, like, I'm going to start with the ones that are the most important to me. So phase 1, which will be like January, February, 1,000 words a day. And this is where I'm going to build these habits that I want to continue throughout the year, but this is where I'm really going to focus on them. And movement and dictation and stress research. Okay, then phase 2. This would be March and April. I want to add in more veggies and fruit. And I want to research what was I talking about? Oh, the PM stress nonsense. Best way to put that. So, and then yeah. And then just as I go, keep kind of bumping it up a little bit, but I don't know. I'm almost against bumping it up actually, because as long as these are minimums throughout the day, I know that they're not huge leaps, but they're big enough to keep me going, which is these ones. Oh, and hydration. So I'm actually starting this now, and I want to start this now. This is now is in December. So then I think I'll jump into movement dictation and stress research in January and February, and then start moving into dietary changes and stress reduction, um, and just kind of keep going down the list and intentionally working through how to change some of these habits. And if I get stymied, if I get stuck, I'll rework it as I go. I want to keep this as a very modular system. So I need to come up with some sort of a planner for this, some sort of a system that helps kind of keep me in track. But creating yet another planner is also a problem for me because it's yet another thing to keep track of. So I'm thinking that maybe what I want to do is I want to like put a list up on the wall of the habits that I want to build and when I want to build them, something like this, but that's typed out. Um, and then in my daily and weekly planners, having some sort of a habit tracker that helps me keep track. So like, don't break the chain is kind of like the mentality on it. Um, Anyway, I'm sorry this video is late. I have had a very sick kid. I tried filming yesterday. It was a disaster, unmitigated disaster. Hopefully she will be at school tomorrow and it'll be fine. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will be back tomorrow actually with a video about um, plotting episodic serial stories because I did an experiment. I figured something out and I'm really excited and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So I will see you tomorrow. And if you enjoyed this nonsense, yeah, please subscribe. Thanks.